Rockstar gang, what up, what up? Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Welcome to the Rockstar Report. Why is my logo up there? Don't know why my logo is up there. Appreciate everyone joining the live stream. Welcome to yet another episode of the Rockstar Report. Appreciate everybody joining. Welcome in. We got a lot to talk about, man. Like, Dan Morgan gives us an update that we've been wanting to know more about. Obviously, we're going to talk about Ejiro Evero, head coaching door still wide open. And let's just say the Raiders do take him. I have a guy in mind that could replace him immediately and probably, in my opinion, might be able to even do a better job. Of course, we're going to have more content coming out to you guys this week. Of course, we got the Senior Bowl finishing up this week. I've already done a bunch of Senior Bowl content. Again, if you're not following me on X, you need to because I've been posting up my thoughts on people we've met with and stuff like that. So, but of course, took the night off last night. I was exhausted. So I was like, I'm not doing a live stream or a video, but there's going to be a lot of videos coming out this weekend. Some shorts, but also some pre-recorded videos for you guys as well. So we're going to have that as well. So appreciate you guys. Zach, what's good? We're going to call you. I don't know how to pronounce your name. So I'm going to call you Rolly. I'm going to call you Rolly. I don't want to pronounce your name wrong. I'd rather get it right. And I don't want to be I don't want to seem disrespectful. But I'm going to call you Rolly. I don't know if I even called you your name correct. Taylor. All right. Oh, your name is Taylor. It's just backwards. Got you. Okay. Makes sense. Well, Taylor, welcome in. All right, everyone. Appreciate everyone in. Get in the chat. Talks amongst yourselves. There's a lot of stuff going on in the NFL, man, and a lot of things we need to talk about. Hold on one second, chat. Backing up here. There we go. Share my screen. Hope everyone's had a good work week. I see that now, Taylor. I see that now. We need to talk about Ickey Ekwonu. This is, I think, one of the updates that we've been waiting for, to be honest with you guys. This has definitely been one of the updates I've been waiting for. I've been waiting to see what's going to happen. What news is it going to come of this? Now, reality definitely showed up in Charlotte, right? When, and it didn't knock the Carolina Panthers. We're entering this off season feeling like we're finally on stable ground. The roster looked deeper, this past season than it obviously did the year before. Momentum for the playoff run felt pretty real. I think this front office had some clarity, and most importantly, plan for locking up cornerstone players seemed pretty straightforward. We talked about it on this show, and Ickey Ekwonu was one of them. And then, Ickey Ekwonu's knees exploded and everything got messy as hell. So our starting left tackle, number 6 overall pick back in 2022 draft, we all know ruptured that tendon during that playoff loss to the Los Angeles Rams. So that single moment didn't just end the game. It kind of torpedoed an offseason like not a crisis, not chaos. I'm trying to think of a word. Roadmap, I guess you could say. But it definitely put us in a bind, right? It puts us in an off-season bind, I guess that's the word I'm looking for. That had already been penciled in. So before the injury, all signs pointed towards Ickey Ekwonu being next in line for a long-term extension. And I still think that might be the case. I think they're going to see how his knee comes back after this. He had a shaky sophomore season where complacency crept in. He rebounded hard over the past 2 years, reestablished himself. I felt like he reestablished himself as a foundational piece on this offensive line. I think general manager Jim Morgan had openly expressed interest in getting something done sooner rather than later. And that conversation is now dead, at least for the moment. But a ruptured patellar tendon is no joke. This is not a quick fix, ladies and gentlemen. It's not something teams hand massive contracts to while crossing their fingers. Ekwonu is staring down a long, painful rehab process. We talked about it on the show. All right. Yes, we heard that, Jimmy Graham came back from it and like seemed to be 8, 9 months or something like that. Or something crazy like that. But that's a tight end. We're talking about a guy who is, over 6 foot, over 300 pounds. And we're talking about an offensive tackle. All right. That's two different type of animals. Okay. And there's a very real chance that he's going to miss most, if not all, of next season. Okay. That is just the brutal truth that we're at. But still, from what we're hearing, Dan Morgan isn't panicking. And for the first time since, I would say, the injury, he gave fans a reason to excel. Now, Dan Morgan's update was the first real bit of good news. Speaking with Mike K, the Charlotte Observer from at the East and West Shrine Bowl, according to this article. So right here, he's speaking to Mike K of the Charlotte Observer, and apparently the surgery went well. There's no complications. There's no setbacks. Just some good optimism from here, acknowledging that the road ahead is going to suck. But he goes from Dan Morgan, says, I think the surgery went well. Morgan said, I know he's going to work his butt off timeline wise. I think we're still gathering that info and figured that side of it out. But I'm sure he's going to attack the rehab. Hopefully he's back sooner than later. So that's about as encouraging as you're going to get, especially this early in the process of this injury, right? Clay, are you on Spotify? I am not. I need to do so. SC Panthers boy. Apparently I need to do so. But anyways, let me get this. Boom. So you can't see the ad. But this is from the Cat Crave article anyways. But anyways, like I said, this is about as encouraging as you can get this early in the process. There's no fake timeline, obviously. There's no promises. Just confidence in the player and a realistic understanding of this injury from Dan Morgan. But Morgan's belief in Ekwonu's work ethic does matter here, right? Rehab from a patellar tendon rupture is brutal, monotonous, and mentally exhausting. You don't survive it without discipline, patience, and a willingness to grind when nobody's watching. So I think Ekwonu has built a reputation as someone who attacks adversity head on. And that's the only reason there's optimism at all. All right. See, the thing is though, the Panthers can believe in Ekwonu and plan without him, right? I think here's where I think things get uncomfortable, right? But necessary. Carolina we can still believe that Ickey Ekwonu is a long-term answer at left tackle while also preparing for a life without him in 2026. So those are two ideas, right? Those two ideas aren't mutually exclusive, even if fans don't like hearing it. Like, I get it. Dan Morgan has to protect the organization, period. That's his job. Okay. That means short-term contingencies are unavoidable, right? Even in the article, it says the Panthers have to make short-term contingencies. The Panthers need a capable person off that blind side, especially if Ickey isn't available or he's not going to return, or if he's not himself when he returns. And again, that's why I've been saying drafting offensive linemen help suddenly does become a lot more urgent. That's why when we've done these mock drafts, I always have tried to get a left tackle. Okay. When you factor in the fact that right tackle Taylor Moton isn't getting any younger too, because you do want to look at getting a right tackle of the future behind Taylor Moton, a guy that can be that successor. Okay. This isn't about replacing Ickey Ekwonu. It's about not being reckless, right? The patellar tendon injuries are historically tough to come back from. Some players do it, plenty don't. I think if we're going to sit here and bet this entire offensive structure on a best case recovery, I think that would be irresponsible as hell. I think it would be irresponsible as hell. SC Panthers boy, I am not on Spotify. I need to be. I hope someone hires ever a free draft picks. We'll talk more about that here in a second. What's up, Shane? Is Robert Hunt hurt again too? I don't know the extent of his injury. I haven't heard anything yet. I'm not sure. But us drafting another left tackle or an insurance policy should not be Ekwonu's concern right now, right? I think another thing, Chad, is like Ekwonu's only job right now is to heal. Contract, depth chart, draft plans, all that stuff. That's all background noise for him, all right? His sole focus just needs to be rest, recover, rehab, right? The early phase of this recovery has gone according to plan, according to reports, which is great. But let's not make a mistake about it. The hardest part hasn't even started yet. The real work ramps up in the months ahead, right? And the setbacks are always lurking. Everyone involved, the team, the players, us fans, we're holding our, hopefully we're not going to be holding our breath, hoping that things stay clean. If there's one thing working in Ickey Ekwonu's favor, it's that this isn't his first fight. He's dealt with adversity before. He's came out strong on the other side. We've seen that. And I think he'll need that same mindset now, because the origin for error at this point, chat, is pretty razor thin. It's pretty razor thin. So again, the bottom line is Dan Morgan didn't sugarcoat anything. That's exactly what we wanted to hear. Good thing the surgery went well. The rehab will be brutal. The timeline is really unclear at this point. I think the contract talks obviously are going to be paused. I think our front office is going to protect itself because it has to. I think the optimism is real. I like that. But you have to also weigh out the risk as well in this. So pretending otherwise, you know, would be absolute bullshit. The hard work has officially begun for everyone involved in this, but we would totally be wrong not looking for an insurance policy for Ickey Ekwonu in this draft. There's plenty of guys. We've already talked about a few of them on the Senior Bowl. So definitely I'm actually probably gonna put a video out about probably my top 3 guys that we could look to draft to be insurance policies for Ickey Ekwonu. So we'll definitely get that out to you guys as well. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's get back over to here on X, because I want to talk about, there's Jeremy Fowler. Yeah, Ejiro Evero. There it is. So obviously, if you stay up to date with me on Twitter, or if you stay up to date, if you're on Panthers Twitter, if you're on Twitter at all, and you follow any of these big sports analysts, you probably heard about this. Again, here's the thing. I understand that Evero isn't done yet. I know the head coaching door isn't closed on him yet. For a minute there, I know it felt like, you know, Ejiro Evero was watching the head coaching carousel spin without him, which that might have been premature. But despite obviously the several jobs coming off the board, Evero is still alive in at least one series of head coaching search. There's still a path. However, it's now narrow. That could land him a top seat. So I'm going to reset the situation for you guys real quick. The Raiders' job is crowded right now, but it's not over. Okay, for anybody. Jeremy Fowler, of course, said Clint Kubiak has emerged as the current favorite for the Raiders. All right, and then Evero's already interviewed twice for them. But one candidate reportedly believes it's Kubiak's to lose, with another meeting expected to happen this weekend. So that sounds ominous on the surface, but here's an important part. Fowler later clarified that Evero is still in the mix for Vegas. So this thing isn't wrapped up yet. The Raiders haven't made a final decision until they do. Evero remains a legitimate option, right? So, again, there have been some other missed opportunities elsewhere. Evero's resume got real traction this cycle, even if it didn't convert into a job yet. He interviewed with the Atlanta Falcons. He interviewed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, both of those doors are officially closed. So, and that's not an indictment of Evero. That's just how this shit goes in the NFL hiring process. Obviously, timing matters. Politics matters. Sometimes teams just want an offensive name to sell hope. I honestly think the Raiders are waiting until the end of the Super Bowl. Or not the Super Bowl, but I think the Seahawks, I think Kubiak's waiting till the end of the Super Bowl to sign with the Raiders. I think he's weighing his options, because if they win that Super Bowl, I could see a world where he moves on. If they lose the Super Bowl, I could also see, I actually could see either way. I could see Kubiak staying in Seattle if they lose or win the Super Bowl. Because why would you leave a team that just won the Super Bowl, but go to a team that doesn't have a quarterback, has talent, but the only talent on that team, if we're being honest, is Max Crosby, Brock Bowers, and Ashton Genty. Who else is on that team that is legitimate? There's not really much talent on the Raiders team. So, Raiders is a true rebuild job. It's a true rebuild job at the end of the day. I'll be surprised if Kubiak leaves. I mean, Kubiak might want it. Jackson Powers Johnson, yeah. But I don't know if I consider Jackson Powers Johnson an elite talent. Bowers is elite. Crosby's elite. Genty's not elite, but he's a rookie. But see, let's not forget, even if Kubiak does go to the Raiders, Arizona's still looking. Arizona still has an opening that they're also showing interest in Clint Kubiak. If Kubiak ends up choosing Las Vegas, Arizona becomes then the last realistic landing spot and one that actually makes sense for Evero geographically and systematically. It's not a guarantee. It's not even likely, but it is possible. I mean, in this league, possible is all you get, right? I mean, I think we still need to operate as of now. If I'm Dan Morgan, I'm still running the show and operating this joint as if Evero staying put. Frankly, that wouldn't be a bad timing. We made a pretty decent jump in 2025. It wasn't elite. Definitely still need some work on that pass rush. You know how I feel about that. But we're no longer embarrassing, right? We still have to give the guy flowers for the growth, okay? And the continuity, right? Even especially for a more younger roster in the NFL, right? If Evero lands a good head coaching job, good for him. he earned the looks. If he doesn't, we keep a respectable defensive mind who's already helped drag that unit out of the league's basement. Either way, this isn't a dead end for Evero, and it's not a dead end for us, even if he leaves. Because there's guys out there I would take a chance on right now. Let's say Ejiro Evero leaves, right? You still got Raheem Morris out there, but you also got another guy. Just sitting out there who just denied the Cleveland Browns job. I mean, I would seriously take a look. You still got Raheem Morris out there as a defensive coordinator. Let's say Evero does leave. You still got guys out there. It's crazy part to think about. I saw that SC Panthers boy 803. I saw that. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely. I mean, Riverboat Ron might go there. What's up, Antonio? Again, I think Raheem Morris is a guy if Evero decides to leave, because Raheem Morris is still out there. I wouldn't be opposed to getting Raheem Morris. I would definitely wouldn't be opposed to getting definitely a Jim Schwartz. I mean, and I get maybe some of you guys talk about, well, why would you get Raheem Morris? Well, Raheem, I get that Raheem Morris may have flamed out as a head coach in Atlanta, but around the league, he's still widely respected as the defensive mind. Like, he's been a successful coordinator. He's also been a Super Bowl winning assistant and a coach's player genuinely believe in. He's known to be very adaptable. He's got great leadership, getting people to buy in. 3 things Carolina has desperately needed on defense for a year. So if Evero leaves, Morris is one guy I would take a look at for sure. I think he makes sense because if you think about it this way, Morris has a long-standing relationship, if we remember, with Dan Quinn, which makes him an obvious candidate for the Washington Commanders defensive coordinator. If Joe Witt, I think Joe Witt's gone, or did they fire him? I don't know if Joe Witt's still with the Commanders. I don't think he is, if I'm not mistaken. Right? But here's the few things that would favor us with Raheem Morris, and I'll talk more about Jim Schwartz here in a second. Let's not forget about Raheem Morris still being out there, right? First, our defense is young and ascending, not perfect, but full potential. That's the kind of group Morris thrives with. Second, he's stepping into a playoff team with a stabilization culture under Dave Canales is a hell of a lot more attractive than another rebuilding from scratch. And let's not ignore the petty bonus, Morris getting to face Atlanta twice a year after being fired by them. So that's not nothing. Coaches are human. We all know that. That chip on that shoulder can definitely feel some great football. Right? So I would not be opposed to Raheem Morris. But Jim Schwartz, that's a different ball game. I kind of feel like Jim Schwartz kind of just fell in our lap, ladies and gentlemen, especially if Evero's gone. I mean, Carolina we could be staring down at a gift right here, especially if Evero leaves, because Jim Schwartz was a serious contender for that head coaching job at Cleveland. And I thought they were going to land him. I expected him to be there. Instead, they went with Todd Monken. Obviously, the fallout was immediate. Everybody losing their shit. But according to Tom Pelissero too, Jim Schwartz was pissed, like visibly so. But after being passed over, Schwartz reportedly said goodbye to people in the building, told other coaches he wasn't coming back, made it clear his future in Cleveland was very much done. So, and that's a massive development, right? Because Schwartz is technically still under contract, and I think the Browns want to keep him. But if Schwartz is serious about moving on, teams usually find ways to make that happen, and contracts don't mean much when a coach has 1 foot out the door. But why I think Schwartz makes too much sense for Carolina is, let's not overthink this. One thing's for sure. Schwartz is one of the most respected defensive minds in football as well. Cleveland had plenty of problems last season, but their defense wasn't one of them. In fact, without Schwartz, that unit probably falls apart entirely. Right? Because under his watch, you saw Myles Garrett break the NFL season sack record. He had multiple young defenders took real development leaps. Browns defense consistently carried a flawed team. So that's not luck, that's coaching. So, yes, hiring Schwartz would mean a significant semantic shift if Evero does leave. But honestly, that wouldn't be a bad thing. Carolina defense does need some authority. It needs some edge. It needs some clarity. I think Schwartz brings all of the second he walks in the door, right? And again, money isn't the problem. Let's not forget there's no salary cap for coaches. David Tepper can outbid just about anyone if he wants to. So if Carolina decides Schwartz is the guy, finances won't be an obstacle. The intent will. And unlike a young, unproven coordinator, Schwartz commands instant respect. Players listen, assistants will follow. The standards get set fast. Like, for a young defense still learning how to close game, this guy would be a hell of an upgrade. Now, none of this matters, obviously, if Evero stays. But they're still very much on the table, because if Kubiak ends up being the Raiders guy, great. Carolina keeps that continuity, keeps building. If Evero leaves, then the Panthers might stumble backward into the best possible replacement without even planning it, right? And it could be Raheem Morris. It could be Jim Schwartz, right? We shall see. I didn't say that Jim Schwartz was coming here. I just said, and I'm not getting anybody's hopes up. So I said, if Evero does leave, you have a shot at getting a Jim Schwartz. I did not say we're getting a Jim Schwartz. You have a shot of getting Jim Schwartz. Again, let's not forget, the Raiders, the Cardinals job are both still open. I mean, Kubiak could end up going to the Raiders. Jim Schwartz could end up going to the Cardinals. Who knows? So it's not like I'm saying Jim Schwartz is coming here. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he could be an option if Evero is done. Right? If he moves on, if he goes to the Raiders, or if he ends up going to the Cardinals. Honestly, Strat 843, I don't think he's going anywhere either. But we do have options if he does. That's one thing that we can sit here and say, that we have options if he does end up going somewhere. Does Schwartz want to join a new team as the DC or the head coach? I I don't know. I don't know what the reports are out there. I could see. Let's see, Zach. Let's see if we can find some more on Jim Schwartz. Let's see if I. Um. That guy right there, Nate Shieldhouse, is another guy I want us to look at maybe this offseason to bring in as an offensive coordinator. But again, we only got 2 jobs left. It doesn't say in any reports that if he wants a head coaching job or another DC job. What's good? What's good, Earl? Appreciate you joining, man. Yeah, we definitely need an OC. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Davis Webb. I'm looking at Nate Shieldhouse. If we're gonna get a true offensive play caller in here. You know what? You know what's interesting, Chad, is whatever happened to Byron Leftwich? He couldn't have been that bad of an OC down there at Tampa Bay. You know? It seems like a lot of people around the league are going with these young guys, young offensive minded guys that have never called plays and giving all these guys first time chances. I guess maybe they're hoping to hit on someone. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But shout out to everybody in the chat, man. I don't think they will fire You're talking about Brad Ickey? I mean, they're not going to fire him. If anything, what they would do, Taylor, is if even if we did go get an OC, they wouldn't fire him. They would probably just downgrade him. Schwartz chooses that a DC in Carolina is likely as the Panthers drafting a Clemson Tiger in the first round. Rock Jones, listen, there's one thing that we agree on. We hate the Clemson Tigers and we love the Carolina Panthers. Actually, it's 2 things. But we cannot sit here and deny the fact that we need to get one of these. If one of those Clemson Tigers is available in the first, depending who else is on that board, but if there's no one else on that board, you can't tell me that we should not be going after Peter Woods or TJ Parker in the first round. That's all I'm going to say. Ickey brings nothing to the table offensively. It's all Canales. Exactly. Again, I told y'all guys this too with Ickey, man. Like, he is just a guy that he just organizes the team. Like, that is all Brad Ickey does. He's an offensive coordinator, but not a play caller. He holds the offensive coordinator title, but let's be clear, he's not calling plays on Sundays. All Ickey does is handle the game planning, delegate, and keeps the offense organized during the week. That's all Ickey does, chat. So, if anything, Leftwich was a Super Bowl winning OC with Brady, isn't he? Correct. What's up, Cyburn? So, yeah, that's all Ickey is. So, you have to be thinking about getting a play caller like a Nate Shieldhouse in here or a Davis Webb. You got to get in here. Or you need to just let Brad Ickey call plays and see if he can. I mean, you can't go with a veteran option because all those guys, all the veterans are basically gone. You got Brian Dable heading to Tennessee. You got Arthur Smith heading to Ohio State. But the problem is with those veteran guys, you ended up giving them they want like full control. That's not going to go bode over well with with your head coach, right? Who is the current play caller. Right? So, like, if you go out and go get a guy like Nate Shieldhouse, right? You know, you get him. That's a guy who's got deep roots in that Sean McVay tree, right? You see, because he's the Rams pass game coordinator, so he's got a good understanding of spacing, route combinations, and motion. You got to know that from the Sean McVay tree. He's obviously probably pretty good at designing explosive passing concepts. I think why he fits Carolina perfectly. I think the Rams offense emphasizes pre-snap motion, defense manipulation, creating easy throw, yak opportunities. Like Davis Webb is another one. Broncos pass game coordinator. Elite processing knowledge because he's a former NFL quarterback. Strong quarterback development background. Modern West Coast Sean McVay, Shanahan, hybrid concepts, right? Strong communicator with young quarterbacks. You've seen him with Bo Nix, for example. Someone who's got heavy emphasis on timing, rhythm, footwork as well. And plus, Webb is tailor-made for developing quarterbacks. Because, and that's another reason why I like Davis Webb is because he would fit with Bryce Young because Bryce doesn't need a flashy play designer. As much as he needs someone who can give him some better structure, faster reads, cleaner timing, more confidence, right? Webb's strength is building pass games that make life easier for the quarterbacks, right? That's what he does. That is what fits Canales' mission statement almost perfectly when he first got here. Yes, he did do it this past offseason. Was it any good? Not really. Not really. Not really, chap. Guys, we got over 40 people watching on the YouTube channel. I would greatly appreciate it if you hit that thumbs up button. All 40 of you. Goes a long way. Goes a long way. That's all I ask. Is it not going to pop up? There it goes. Boom. Greatly appreciate it. Get to some of your comments here. Dan Morgan's going to pick the best player available in the first round. Just remember that, okay, guys. He even said today, Carolina Panthers interviewed Kristen Balboni today. Problem is Dave gives away play calling to someone else. He basically be firing himself, so Dave will always be the play caller. I don't think that's true, Cyburn. I just don't see how that's true. We definitely need an OC. Dave needs to stick to head coaching because he looks so stressed out in the interviews. The reason why I don't think that's true, Cyburn, is because here's the thing. If Dave Canales ever decides to bring in a true play caller, which I think he should, all right, because Dave Canales needs to be focusing more on like I'm trying to explain this correctly. Like Dave Canales is still running offense, okay? Still calling plays, still very much control of how this thing will all evolve. Unless the wheels fall off. There's no reason to mess with that. But let's be clear here. The Panthers focused they're going to be focused on this. I don't see how you can't. Because Canales does decide to change things. If he does decide to change things, there's plenty of guys out there. But Canales has made it clear, I know that he's going to stay in control of this offense. But General Manager Dan Morgan hasn't completely shut the door on changes down the road. He's also been crystal clear that decision and play calling rests entire with Canales. But I just think that Dave Canales has to be thinking to himself that I've got to be also a guy who is managing the game, right? Managing the decisions on the field, right? That's what he needs to focus on. Focus on the timing of the game. Focus on what the defense is doing. Stuff like that. Manage the game as a head coach instead of worrying about what plays need to be called. That's just my opinion. We saw that with Frank Wright. I mean, Dave Canales has obviously done it better than Frank Wright did. But then he finally gave up the play calling and then took it back, which made no fucking sense whatsoever. That's what Ickey is basically his tag-along friend. Like, hold my hand, little buddy. Follow me. He definitely needs an OC. Dave needs to stick his, yeah. Salary cap going up this year to third. Yeah, I know. I saw that. It's crazy. Earl, I saw that. It's crazy how high they've got this. How high they've got this. Let me see if I can pull it up. The salary cap this year. Let me see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. Salary cap. It's crazy how much the salary cap's going up. Jeez, a low chat. Look at this. Yeah, it didn't look good. You could tell he was a first-time play caller in the preseason. What up, old school Panthers fan? He should focus on in-game decision situations. I agree. Exactly. What's good, Clay? My Carolina family in the chat. What's good, Trizzy? Rock Jones says he's getting better as a head coach. Hopefully he learns from his mistakes. Yep. This is crazy. So the NFL informed clubs today that it's projecting a 206 salary cap in the range of $300.2 million to $305.7 million per club. That would represent another significant jump from this year's $279.2 million cap number and nearly $100 million than the $208.2 million in 2022. That is just absolutely insane, chat. I'm about to take a screenshot of this, though. Wow. 200. That's a massive jump, chat. That's a massive jump, bro. How do they, so like that now my question is then how much money are we going to have because of this jump? Hold on, I'm doing some research, chat. That's why I'm not talking right now. I'm doing some more research on this because I want a better understanding. So basically, this means that it's a huge increase because in 2025, was 27.2. So 2026 would jump another 22 to 26 million in 1 year, which in 2022, 208.2 million cap. That would be nearly $100 million higher in just 4 seasons. So the salary cap, maximum amount each team can spend on, obviously, player salary, blah, blah, blah. That means we're going to be able to sign bigger contracts. We're going to have more flexibility of retaining star players. And it's going to be easier for us to spread money around the roster and less need for painfully cuts purely for cap reasons. Which means that's telling me that the NFL is driving a shit ton of growth and revenue, which means media right deals, the streaming money, gambling partnerships, overall league growth. The cap is tied directly to the league revenue, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know that. So when the NFL prints money, the cap rises with it. But there's a key caveat to all of this. This is just a projection. That's not the final number. The official 2026 cap won't be set until closer to that season. So projections like this are reliable enough that teams already plan around them. So that's crazy. That is crazy, bro. Cool. We can shop at JCPenney instead of Walmart. Yeah. Hey, there ain't nothing wrong with some Walmart now, Amazing K. Ain't nothing wrong with some Walmart amount. NFL is king. Wait till the NFL renegotiates the TV contract in 2030. Yeah, with like YouTube and all that stuff. The problem is that we have continually raised the salary cap is the combined media agreement, which pays for each team's expenses, does not keep going up. Yep. It's COVID inflation catching up. Yeah, Sunday ticket will go up this year. Yep. That just shows how much money these owners were and still are making. That wouldn't allow the high salary cap unless owners were making more. Yeah. Yeah. Very true. It's just crazy. Oh, somebody's at my house. Sorry. Yeah, what's up, Josh? Appreciate you coming through. Josh, I've been doing some pre-records, man. So if you can't catch a live, go check a pre-record. Or just come back and rewatch it, my guy. I always keep the replays going. So if they jump more, we'll have bigger increases then. So we'll probably have about 50 plus million. Well, I thought we were, based on the projections I saw, we were already projected to have close to 50 plus million before this came about. But now it's going to be higher, I think, Josh. Now, I could be wrong, but we should have at least, even with the increase, it should be close to 50 plus million. Look out for some history making contracts. You'll see it. You'll see it this year. Yeah. Now we can afford Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson together. I wouldn't go that far. But you could definitely sign some guys, and you could also retain some guys. That's the biggest thing, right? Cade Mays is a guy we want to look at retaining. There's a bunch of people that we want to retain. There's some guys I definitely want to retain. Does sound promising for sure. So, all right, well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hop off of here. I'm going to do some pre-recorded videos. Maybe we'll do a live stream tomorrow as well. I appreciate everyone joining the live stream. I'm glad I got to do one earlier today with you guys. So again, appreciate you guys. Hit that thumbs up button as always. It's right there. Boom. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you click that post notifications bell. Follow me on X. Follow me on Twitter. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Also, giveaways coming. I'm going to make that announcement this weekend on how these 2 giveaways will work. And I'll post it in my Discord. I'll post it in my community posts. And yeah, everybody, if you're going through the storm, stay warm. All right, stay safe. And as always, guys, keep pounding. I'm out. Peace.